they just get the people with the most annoying voices to do these ads? Or I wonder if that's editing. Anyway, good morning, everybody. My name is Jared. This is Justice's Waiting Room, a daily live podcast where we discuss news and politics. All right. This is about as much self promotion as you're going to ever get out of me. I'm particularly proud of this morning's piece, um, and I fucked up. I hate life. What is going on here? Um, my most recent. Not everybody has access to the. My YouTube channel's all jacked up, y'all. All jacked up. Like I was looking through today, I had like a bunch of videos that were like unlisted. So like I post, no wonder nobody shows up anymore. Some percentage of my content. I wanted to share this and can't. Here it is. Here. The first thing I saw when I woke up this morning was Pete Buttigieg being asked what he thought about transgender athletes. I think that was the question, and his response was something along the lines of empathizing with parents' fear about their child competing with transgender kids, and I've got it wrong. I'm saying up front, I've got it wrong. The gist of this, though, is that the answer to what do you think about transgender issues is that much like my stance on abortion, I wish people would just mind their fucking business. What the fuck are we talking about? If you ain't in them panties, why the fuck you talking about them? Y'all are weird. Talk about what's going on in your house. And most of the time, that tends to work out. It's none of your fucking business. I worked for 5 years at a business where the most consistent person that I saw, because I was the most consistent person, was the time cop. Their name was Chaz, and they were trans male. And so when I first met Chaz, Chaz was a woman, a butch woman. And over the years that I knew them, they transitioned and became a man. And do you know how it impacted our relationship? It fucking didn't. I can say that with my full chest. I worked side by side with someone that transitioned, and you know what? They didn't get it on me. Not a fucking thing that was going on in their life impacted me at all, and we worked hand in hand. And one of my best friends is a trans woman. And I can promise you, I will protect them until the end of time. And like I said, I was saying things to my wife. I was saying, when I was at the SCG Con Indy, a group of trans women came over, four of them, and there were four trans women in an 8-person pod. a vintage cube draft that me and this Marine that I hadn't seen in 20 years were running here at SCG&D. And I played 3 rounds of Magic in a row against a trans woman. And do you know how how much it mattered that the person across from me was trans? Do you know how much that impacted gameplay? Fucking not at all. What the fuck are you talking about? They were talking about hockey and football. Hmm. These are like people that were living as men just a few years ago, doing that same fucking thing, and them being a confused man probably didn't impact gameplay at all either. So, did it bother me that they were all wearing sundresses? No, it was hot as balls outside. I was jealous. I hope this helps. Like when I see someone wearing a kilt, guess what the first thought in my head is? They have a mental illness. Second, I'm like, I'm just kidding. Like that was a joke. I hope you understand that that was a joke. What's the first thing you think about when you see a man wearing a kilt? Oh, he's got a mental illness. He's an alcoholic. Beer. Probably has a Steiner in his car. He chops wood. Hmm. He eats for mass. Am I onto something? Okay. So as I said, as someone who's actually spent quite a bit of time, quite a bit of my life around trans people, no the fuck I haven't. No the fuck I haven't. Because the only reason that I know that they're trans is because they told me. So I want to make sure we talk about it correctly. It's like when you're around lesbians, you're not getting lesbian on you. Some people ask like, what's your exposure level to lesbians? They're not radioactive. Lesbians are harsh critics. I will say that though. But I don't know what I never could figure out what's so fucking hard about that. Stay out of people's underwear. Stay out of their bedrooms. Mind your fucking business. If someone confides in you that they're gay or trans, guess what? You don't have gay and trans friends. And they probably outed themselves to you to protect themselves because they knew you were this fucking close to becoming one of them right wing nut jobs that, for the record, thinks that this shit is a choice. So, one of the things that bothers me pretty consistently is when straight people say things like, and they chose to be gay. Okay? I worked for a beautiful gay man named Nathan for a few years. I had to go identify him in the hospital when he overdosed. And he thought of it more as an affliction. He saw it as a curse. He was a beautiful man and loved and beloved by many people. Hmm. He was just like anybody else, though. Just scared and alone, unhappy, feigning happiness, right? Which a lot of people fucking do. They just pretend that they're fucking happy. And there, for some people, there's no hole that you could fill with being gay or trans or bi or les or None of the above, right? There's people that are asexual, right? But I just want to be upfront with you. It's one of the things about being pro equality is understanding gender and sexuality and saying, you know what? It's none of my goddamn business. First of all, it's none of my fucking business what is happening in your pants or in your underwear or in your bedroom or in your bathroom. It is none of my goddamn business. And when people choose to make it their business, you're failing at the most basic requirement, I think, in order to be a happy person, and that is to mind your motherfucking business, bitch. Right? Like, keep your nose where it belongs, and it should probably be on your house. Before one of the things I learned as a very young person that I think a lot of people failed to understand: the right to extend your fist ends at another person's face. So you can be as loud and upset and dumb and ignorant as you want to be and raise all kind of hell. The problem is that people have put their hands on other people. People have sought out my trans friends and tried to fight them. Like, one of the conversations that these burly fucking women in sundresses told me is not only were they like high school athletes that played football and hockey and they went to college and they got into the workforce and they went through life like we all do, and then wound up talking to a therapist. And all four of them boys pointed out they had never really talked to anyone about life before, and they had all these thoughts and feelings, and they went to see a therapist. And after years of therapy, he said, first I was gay, and they're all like listening to each other and caring about each other, not knowing each other at all. I think a couple of them had ran into each other before. And so they were all kind of in agreement that, you know, obviously at first I realized I was gay. And then I started realizing that I could smell myself. That was one of the things that all three of them boys, I could smell my own body odor. And I realized, like, I have to change things about myself. I have to be more prim and proper and not bite my nails and, shave all the hair off my body and become more feminine, and then all of a sudden I'm shaving my beard and mustache, and I fully transition into a woman inside of like a several year period, and they were all pretty much on the same path. And you're just like, oh, so like the first time you ever got to be like fully open with yourself and fully explore yourself as an adult, this is who you are. Yeah, perfect. Like, game on. Let's keep going. Let's keep this shit rolling. Like, I could not give a single nah fuck. Nope. Unless they got like glitter on their fingers and it's gonna like get on the cards and shit, that'd be pretty fucking obnoxious. But we all agreed. I'm all about the LGBTQIA plus. I just wish they would weaponize glitter more and leave it the fuck out of places that every other part of life, because that shit gets all over everything. Hmm. Right? Bob said we need to treat racists the way they treat trans folks. Yeah. Hmm. But I just want you to know, like, gay people and our trans and friends, they're not monoliths, right? There's good people, there's bad people. One of the things we've talked about pretty frequently is that my gay friends have told me that the president is gay. And he's like old school gay, like 50s gay, where um, he's a nasty motherfucker. You know what I mean? A lot of people have said he has syphilitic dementia. Um, but yeah, I want to make sure I reiterate my point. The President of the United States has raped more children than there are trans college athletes. So I'm more concerned with the 34-time felon in office. That's the answer to the question, what do you think about transgender? I fear for their safety. I'm concerned with their voices. I hope for their ability to live out their life to the fullest. And obviously, I empathize with women too, like my female friends. My wife, I think she's going through. I don't want to speak on that. I'm not a doctor. She's going through women's stuff. So I empathize greatly. And my wife's going through rough patches. I try to be there. You know what I mean? Yet at the same time, bunch of in the closet. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. That we're all afraid other people are going to find out who we really are and what people think about us like really matters. Um, could have been gay if it weren't for the dicks. You know what I mean? Not a big fan of peni. You'll find that out in college. I think the most important story of today. I hope that you're laughing when I click back over here. That you're laughing. See, someone's pissed at tsunami hitting Russia. Yeah, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The top news story is that there has been an 8.8 magnitude earthquake. So it's the biggest earthquake ever. Um, Waves are hitting the shores of multiple countries. Um, we're praying for all the victims. We're thinking about all the poor people affected by this, whose homes and livelihoods will be destroyed. Um, yeah, it happened off the eastern coast of Russia. Yeah, you can see the massive waves. God, all I can think is I love all those people. Like I love all those people. I fear for all those people. Um, Whenever I see traffic backed up real bad, all I can think of is just be kind, like, and get the fuck out of Dodge. Like, I've been saying for a while, it's time everybody moves to the Indianapolis and becomes my neighbor. Come on, y'all. Come to Indianapolis. All the storms miss us. C says she had endometriosis and almost died. It's awful. Almost as bad as this 8.8 magnitude earthquake. I think we talked about this. There's no missing minute. Did we talk about this the other day? Oh, and we. Sorry for letting you down. We didn't start with war today. Oh, remember how Donald Trump, President No New Wars? Cambodia and Thailand are engaged. Just wanted to point that out. And also, since he's been in office, Israel attacked Iran. Just want to make sure we. Yeah. So let's check y'all bot because that thing's got to be going nuts. Given that there was an 8.8 magnitude earthquake, it's got to be sending waves. If not by fire, then by flood or war. That's crazy. Didn't remember he said he would end Ukraine, Russia on day one. And last couple days, he said that they're gonna wait 10 days and impose sanctions, and they don't know what that's gonna do because Russia just wants to continue their war. One about. But yeah, if you live on the West Coast, hey, there was a major earthquake off the eastern coast of Russia, and it's gonna send a tsunami your way. And the tsunamic waves started, I believe, like last night. The waves started picking up. Gabby said that the other day Donald Trump said he helped end 6 wars already without firing a shot. Gabby, Hawaii is under alert right now. Hell yeah, get to the mainland. They have actually downgraded tsunami alerts to an advisory level. So obviously, um, the what I heard was 10-foot waves in succession. It's like that's pretty bad, but it's not like 40, 50 foot, skyscraper killers out here. You know what I mean? It's just going to be some flooding for some people, and it's unfortunate that remember, more people are going to starve today in Gaza than will die from this earthquake. So, when are they in the clear? It's a good question. I don't know. Because you got to think about what are the ramifications of an 8.8 earthquake. Like what's the fallout from that? I know the tsunami waves, sure, that is going to cause some apparent flooding. 8 seems high. 8.8 seems high. That's all I'm saying. It's the highest ever. So what now? Yeah? So I'm just kind of like, what the fuck is going to happen now? 8.7. It can be whatever it wants. And I want to point out, I was telling this to my wife, but right before we went live, one of the reasons that I'm here, one of the reasons that I show up for work every day, is because I feel like we're not getting the skinny from the media. The mainstream media is not telling you that the person that was murdered in New York City on the 33rd floor or whatever, was the right person. That was the female CEO of BlackRock who single handedly caused the housing shortage. I want a t shirt that says my AR is for CEOs only. And then also, the news, the media is trying to say that the gunman was intending to target the NFL, which is on the fifth floor, and that he went to the wrong floor and he killed the wrong person. And I just want to make sure that I reiterate, he drove across the fucking country, killed a security guard and a cop, got on an elevator, rode it all the way up. Think about it. If he was going to the fifth floor, instead it's going to the 33rd. And you mean to tell me he was so like, that he didn't notice that was a little bit of a long elevator ride? Come the fuck on, bro. He knew exactly where he was going with that Walmart AR. And he did the second most fucking noble thing anybody's done this year. So, yeah, I want to make sure that we are saying he was not targeting NFL offices. He did not have grievances over CTE. No. No. Angie said he let a woman on the elevator go as well. Yeah. Don't you think if he was a homicidal maniac that he would have also off the woman on the elevator that he just let go? Yeah, he was very goal oriented. Hey, and you know what? Why go all the way there, pop that CEO, and then get captured or be a fugitive? Like, why do all that? I can totally empathize. You did the most noble thing you could have ever done, the most justified thing that he could have ever done, and he didn't have to look left, look right, and wonder what the consequences are. He knows what the consequences are. That's called premeditated murder. That is a capital offense. He's probably getting the death penalty. Actually, I don't think they do that in New York, so he was probably getting life in prison. Hmm? I can empathize with someone deciding to take the short exit off this ramp right here rather than take the life sentence. Hmm? No, he did the most noble thing. Hmm. He was targeting the CEO of BlackRock, who single-handedly caused the housing crisis. BlackRock goes around and buys up all these homes, and they don't rent them out. They just hold them up, and it inflates the value of the home, and then they sell the home. It's a racket. So fuck BlackRock, and he was aiming for the correct and hit the correct person. Just so everyone knows. You're gonna drive across the country. You're not getting off at the wrong floor. And he didn't miss by one floor either. The NFL offices, I believe, are on the fifth floor, and he went to the 33rd floor. So there's a big gap between where the NFL offices are and how that story lines up, and where he actually ended up, and who actually died. And that is a female CEO of BlackRock. I believe their name is Les, or something like that. So yeah. I think it's important to check the weather this morning. Holy shit. Iowa, Northern Illinois, Southern Wisconsin. Your shit is fucked. Again, I just want to point out that the left half of this country is on fire or on the verge of being on fire. And that I'm going to name some states. I'm talking about New Mexico, Arizona, California, Utah, Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, Idaho, Washington State, Oregon, Northern California specifically. Your shit is on fire. Um, and then it looks like down here in the Gulf of Mexico, um, looks like Mississippi, Alabama, the southeastern Louisiana are getting some rain. I can see some shit in uh, northeast south. Hold on, eastern South Carolina into southeastern North Carolina. Them's my old stomping grounds down there. Y'all look out. Um, so yeah. North Dakota, your shit is fucked. What is that? Kansas? Hey, Kansas City, I'm pretty sure your shit is fucked. Holy shit, by the way. If you live from basically Denver to Chicago, your shit is fucked in that at that angle. So, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, from Denver to Chicago, your shit is fucked. And probably into Michigan. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, cease, be safe. You're literally getting hit by like two or three strings of storms today. So, northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin, probably Michigan, like the Lake Michigan area. Um, but even back west of that, even all the way out to like I said, Kansas City. Um, Kara said the humidity in Colorado was the highest it had been in 17 years yesterday. Yes, yesterday was terrible. I worked yesterday and it was people were so crass, and I like couldn't figure it out. And then I looked and yesterday it was hot as fuck. And you're like, oh, people are pissy because it's hot. I get it now. This is why people are dumb today. Yeah, I was it was a joke. I'm sorry. Yeah, yeah. Cease. Uh, Hey, you might need to start prepping your home for surplus rain. You be a prime candidate. Start water gathering so you can water your garden and stuff. Hmm. Yeah, this area is known. We know humidity in Indiana, Illinois, Ohio. Damn corn is sweating. Hell yeah, it is. I go walk the dogs in the morning in the yard, and I always laugh like the yard's sweating. That popcorn is popping. Yeah, for sure. There's no public National Weather Service or NOAA to speak of anymore, so we got to rely on each other. I've just been using Y'allbot. It's Ryan Hall's 24 hours news bot. They use AI to determine whether he should be live, and so he also makes his own decisions, but they talk about a weather score. And I have a feeling because there are like two, three storm systems coming down the pipe. that are going all over that northern Illinois, southern Wisconsin. That's my stomping grounds when I was a little kid. Yeah, usually super dry, hence the fire danger. Right. Yep. I took the dogs for a walk this morning before the sun came up, and it was humid enough that I was sweating, and I don't normally sweat. So we got to make sure we talk about the weather because I think that's like a big thing. Poland says 32 people were detained and suspected of coordinating with Russia for sabotage. Cease has the WGN weather app too. Good. I used to watch WGN Cease for a while. I'll be real with you. I stopped watching a lot of shit. I can't imagine being on TV and not talking about what's going on in Gaza. And not talking about. Did you know the New York Times posted a story this morning with all the names of the 18,500 children that have died in Gaza? Free Palestine. Slava Ukraine. With my whole chest. Hmm. And in case we didn't know, I support NAFO. So if you haven't heard of the North American Fella organization, you should become a fella. FELLA. Fundraising for Ukraine's defenders. Yep. While we're at it, join a union. I work in finance. It's basically the Wild Wild West, so there wasn't really a union for me. So I ended up joining Work in America. So if you feel like I do, that based on what you do for a living, there's not really a union for that, join Work in America with me. That said, join a union. Angie said it's just so wild that Israel and Russia can just do what they want with no one to stop them. Well, think about this. Stopping Israel it involves conflict, okay? Which primarily will mean that civilians will have to die. Lots of them. Lots of Israeli civilians. You don't want to be the country, I don't care who you are, putting boots on the ground in Israel because that means U.S. forces and occupation and the construction of a military base in the Middle East, to which Donald Trump's going to build a resort and golf course next to. And he's going to take all the money from the active duty service members stationed, unfortunately, in Gaza on you know the the U.S. base Gaza, U.S. military base Gaza, and I'm not saying this like because this is what I want. As I've said before, what I perceive the ignorance of people is that there are people on, and keep in mind, I didn't say this is smart. So I'm going to say this, and you're going to be like, that's not smart. And it's like, no shit. It's not my thought. There are people on this planet that have conducted such evil that they will forever remain an exile and a fugitive. And we know who these people are. And they believe that if there is a US military base with a Donald Trump property next to it, that that would be the safest place on earth, militarily speaking, as long as Israel's military is strong, because they will protect with the Iron Dome, right? And so, mistakenly, brazenly, all these horrible people think they're going to be able to commit a genocide in Gaza, wipe that place out, build a military base, build a golf course and resort, and that you're going to want to fucking vacation there. And it's going to be the jewel of the Middle East. And I'm here to fucking tell you that if you don't think that shit's going to happen, what do you think Jared, their son, was doing business with them? Know that Leonardo DiCaprio owns a company intending to build a resort in Gaza. It's like in the works. And I just think that that's a fool's errand, and that you could not pay me millions to go there ever. And I don't know anyone that would want to go there. That would be the dumbest shit ever. And I hope you know no peace if you spend your money to go to Gaza to stay in a vacation sense when there's a fucking genocide happening like right there. How dare you? So like I said, we're going to make sure we talk about that for a long time. Okay? They think not only is that going to be a safe place, but a place that people are going to want to visit. And they don't want to be around the pores, right? So if that happens to Donald Trump and he builds a resort in Gaza, I hope that resort sees 1,000 9/11s. Hmm. I hope, and I hope all them places are butt ass empty. P Diddy wants out of jail, y'all. You think Donald Trump's gonna pardon P Diddy, or he's gonna help him get out of jail, or when the judge denies him, do you think he'll? I'm sure all the rich pedos will flock to it, right? Yo, this is dope. Union Pacific and Norfolk seek first transcontinental railroad through a massive merger. $85 billion deal would create the first transcontinental railroad in the U.S. Here's a story from Reuters. The CEO of the real estate division, senior Blackstone executive. Uh, the Blackstone Real Estate Income Trust is the entirety of the real estate arm. It's effectively the largest landlord in the United States and probably the world. It's largely responsible for causing high rent and high housing costs around the country. I can't think of any reason why their CEO might be targeted by someone fed up with this system. I want to make sure, again, one of the things you're going to catch me doing is letting us sit for a minute. Okay? Yep. And see, here's how I operate. Okay? Once I find out you're a piece of shit, you don't exist. So, you know what happened? Leo got inceptioned. The fuck out of reality. I don't even know who that fucking person is anymore. Couldn't give a fuck. As soon as you come out, this is the way I am. This is the way. This is. I don't know how y'all operate. I try to love everybody and give everybody an opportunity until you show me exactly who the fuck you are. Once you show me exactly who the fuck you are, I gotta make a decision. Is this person worth investing my time in, or are they a worthless piece of shit? And I need to get better about cutting off pieces of shit faster and spending more time with people that aren't total pieces of shit. Hmm. Yeah, one of my friends sent me a video of the strip, and it was like a time lapse, and it was like this has been the whole week, and it was like a week in Vegas, and it was looking at the strip, and it's dead. The strip is dead. There's a thing that I've always known. You want me to tell you something fucking crazy? Rich people don't go to Las Vegas. Las Vegas is held up by the middle class. When you destroy the middle class, places like Las Vegas, vacation destinations, dude, you know how I know it's bad? You know how I know it's bad? I got a flyer for a rental of a condo for 500 bucks a week in Hawaii on Waikiki Beach. 500 bucks for the week. All you got to do is get out there. hmm That's how I know it's bad. Places are sending you offers. We will pay you to come here. That's how I know it's bad. hmm Yeah. See, Bob, I'm waiting too. I hope another country is prepared to host the Olympics that's more progressive than the United States because of all of the people that deserve privacy that have absolutely fucking none. It's Olympians. The one thing that I cannot stand my whole life is how much you get to know a fucking Olympic athlete. It's just like, holy shit, bro. And as far as soccer, uh, I think soccer's too good for America. We don't deserve it. We certainly don't deserve the World Cup. From sports, uh, Emmanuel Clays has been temporarily benched by Major League Baseball due to his alleged role in a sports gambling investigation. Interesting. You want to go get remarried by Elvis? That's funny. When my wife and I went to Vegas many moons ago, and we checked into the little chapel as a bit, like faking everybody out that we eloped. We didn't elope. We got married on like a fucking Tuesday. You know what I mean? I was at work. I took a half day to come get married, and I had to go sign paperwork for the house. I didn't finalize it until the next day, but yeah, basically got married and bought a house in the same 24-hour period. They evacuated Fukushima after a tsunami warning. So yeah, I think that we need to move inland. We need to move everything inland and away from the equators. Here's a Palm Beach post talking about Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislaine Maxwell survivor, testified she met Donald Trump at age 14. So how about that, Don? Oh, and I saw this was good too. Zohran Mamdani beats out all New York City mayoral candidates in combined new poll. Might want to throw in the towel, kids. Andrew Cuomo. Keep in mind, Andrew Cuomo is acting as an attorney for Bibi. And again, circling back, she said, "You don't mess around, Jared." The FBI has acquired the full Epstein tape without the missing minute. I just want to make sure that we understand that that is public fucking information. That that means that it will be archived at some point and not classified. And you and I and we will, hopefully you stick around for the fireworks. Uh, but I would love to watch the video once that man's out of office and in a prison cell or worse. Turn his ass into dust. I give a fuck. Mexicans are sounding the alarm on gentrification. Morning. Yeah, I saw some breaking waves on the West Coast. I'm never really worried about California or Californians. These motherfuckers are crazy. I went out to California, and a buddy of mine that I'd been friends with had a house on the beach, right? I go out there and the weather's kind of shitty. It's a storm coming, right? And what does this motherfucker do? Puts on a fucking wetsuit. Let's go surf. And these waves were absurd and dangerous and choppy. And we went out there and fucking surfed, and it was dangerous as hell. There was a couple times I thought I was gonna drown. But when you're moving fast, and then you get taken under, and like the undertow takes you down to the bottom, and you're skimming the bottom of the water, all you gotta do is keep swimming. Keep swimming. You'll come out of it. Mm-hmm. Thought I was gonna die. Stacy says she watched Shooter yesterday. I love that shit. I love when they assume because you're in the Marine Corps that you're dumb. Like, one of the scenes that I love is the firing pin, which is totally something a Marine sniper would have done, is swap out the fucking firing pins on all his guns before he left because he knew these motherfuckers were chasing him and shit. He picks up that fucking Terminator weapon. That's a that's a 50 cal. That's a M10A1. Zoran's a New Hope. Yeah, I just wish he'd take the fucking suit off and be a normal person for a little bit, but I guess instead, so one of the downers lately has been the idea that Ghislaine Maxwell is going to get immunity in exchange for her testimony, which is going to be doctored. So the thing that we're going to have to do here is make sure we say it out loud. She was denied immunity, so if she's going to testify, she gets no immunity. Which means if you lie, hmm, Trump has spent a third of his presidency on his own properties. My friend took to the snorkeling in the kelp fields with great whites. Yo, that's crazy. I think this statement from Donald Trump should come back to bite him, where he's talking about uh, Jeffrey Epstein stole Virginia Giuffre. She was a fucking minor. Bruce said, Bob said, I hope she has a moment of clarity and sings on Donnie. Yeah, me too, man. What dirt? What dirt? Here's Epstein's brother saying Jeffrey Epstein had dirt on Trump and Clinton. And again, I just want to point out that I don't care who's on the list. Prosecute them all to the fullest. What are we talking about? And think about what kind of fucking gymnastics you gotta do. Democrats are pushing this DOJ to release their list. Yeah. Well, Virginia Giuffre died by suicide a few months ago and spent most of their life as an advocate. Before offing herself. Wah ha 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 ha. Hey, so check this out. Carolyn Levitt failed in her congressional bid, and now the people that finance that are hunting for their money. And again, I want to point out that's Donald Trump if he didn't take dark money from Russia. Hmm. Yeah, I don't care who's on the list. Put them all in jail. Marjorie Taylor Greene is the first Republican lawmaker to call Gaza a genocide. What did AIPAC not pay her to? Yeah, Donald Trump is single handedly keeping the Epstein story alive. It's hump day. Woo. Who's calling me? The vet. Because they're dumb. It's Wednesday. I hear doggy feet. Oh, yeah. Donald Trump used your tax dollars to open this golf course in Scotland. You hear my dogs howling. Oh, doggies. Not expected to strike the U.S. Ah, I see Joe Rogan. We rescheduled those appointments. Joe Rogan's not letting go of Epstein. He says it's a line in the sand. This is after the media suggested it was a line in the sand. I just want to point out the media created that. The media did that. They gave Joe Rogan, hey, all you got to do, this is your exit. I think this happened yesterday after the show. Cory Booker went after Democrats and accused them of being complicit in Donald Trump's agenda. And I saw that Klobuchar uh, yelled at him not to question her ethics. And I want to continue to point out that too many people have not read On Tyranny because the first fucking page says do not obey in advance. And by complying and by trying to be nonpartisan, I'm not nonpartisan. I think that every single Republican is a traitor to this country and took money from Russia. And I think that there are 100 elected Democrats that take money from AIPAC, and that's Israel, and they're silent on the genocide in Gaza. And some of the people that make the most money from Israel are your Democratic heroes, your Jeffries, Hakeem Jeffries, your Kamala Harris, your Joe Biden, your Democratic superstars, are largely silent on the 18,500 children that have died in Gaza at the hands of the IDF in their genocide, that at the hands of Benjamin Netanyahu, who is a wanted war criminal. You see how there's no sweat rolling off my brow when I say it? That's how you know, like, I'm on the right side of history. I sleep like a fucking baby. What are we talking about? Right? Taking any other stance other than we need to hold these people accountable. I don't know what happened there. Sorry. I'd been checking on Bruce after Namakrite. Russia and AI pack. Screw these traders. Yep. Yep. The White House X account all of a sudden becomes a Donald Trump golf fan account. Oh yeah, last night was hilarious. Last night, Bruce just wanted to be in the room. He really wanted to be in the bedroom. So he's like both paws pounding on our bedroom door until like he gets in, and he just wanted to sit in the room with us. And I think it's because we took him to the vet and he got eardrops, and we have to like corral him and like hold him still so we can give him eardrops because he's got an ear infection. And he likes us now. You know what I mean? Strongly worded speeches don't cover up traitorous actions. Yeah, they're all trying to profit off this somehow. I want to point out that Marjorie Taylor Greene may come out and say things like the IDF is committing a genocide, right? And she's the first Republican to point it out. Yeah, she's just not being paid by them to be quiet. That's the truth of the scenario, is that AI Pack didn't throw her a bone, so she's going to sing. I mean, maybe she was proud of what their administration accomplished. So yeah, I think because we take care of Bruce, he's less afraid of the dogs and more wants to be close to the people, the humans. Yeah, dogs don't. My dogs don't lick and scratch themselves. Mm-mm. We take care of that kind of shit. That's why you take them to the vet, so you don't have to worry about them like scratching themselves, itching themselves. Mm-mm. None of my animals had any problem. My cats had a little gunk in their ears, and we got to put eardrops in. But other than that, pretty and smart. Why did she say she wasn't going anywhere? Yeah, and then she disappeared. Hasn't said much. One of the things that bothers me about Democrats is that very few of them have pointed out, like, how come nobody is talking about Election Truth Alliance? How come nobody's saying, like, hey, there's this lawsuit in Rockland? You know, one of the things that bothers me is like, you mean that the man that cheated at everything he ever did, cheats at golf, cheat on his wife, he didn't cheat in this election? Where's the all clear? from the Director of National Intelligence? Where are the reports from every state? I think that Kamala Harris had 1,500 lawyers working around the fucking clock, and I think that Joe Biden correctly said, what you're gonna have to do, what you're gonna have to do is fight the laws he tries to pass when he first gets in office. And I think they're waiting for. I think about this. How did the people in charge have Project 2025 and not have put things in place to fight that, right? Like all those federal judges that he appointed, and the last few orders that Joe Biden left where he had secession orders in place. Um, I think they're waiting until they try to use the 25th Amendment. And think about this, the farther we get away from the election, the quieter the Democrats are about it. And that tells me, because think about this, don't you think your suspicion would grow over time? Or again, I've said because of climate change, and look at all this awful shit happening in the world because of man-made climate change. The Democrats didn't want to be in power because climate change is going to go off the rails anyway. And they're going to force the Republicans to try to deal with multiple catastrophes at once, and they'll just mishandle it so fucking poorly that this will be the death of the Republican Party. Because think about it, he's most of his policies affect his voters. And I've said this over and over again. He promised to deport like 14 million fucking people, and he has 100,000 people in captivity. I mean, Elon's trying to spill the beans. First thing he said was Donald Trump's in on the Epstein list, and that's why he's trying to keep it from becoming public. I mean, he that them's the beans, right? Yep. I think it was a national security risk. I think the reason that all of this shit has happened the way it has is because it's what's in the best interest of the American people. And remember, we talked about it, we kept reading and all the documentation that we could find that they really don't want to chill voters. They don't want people showing up to the polls, waiting in line to vote and not voting and deciding it's not worth it. So because of that, their impetus is on not chilling voters, and they don't want um, they don't want like a civil war that they're gonna have to let the dude die, let let them try to use the 25th Amendment and then say the dude's not a legitimate president. Here's results of 2020 for U.S. election. Now it's fucking undo all this shit and unfuck this. Yep. I think that's like the perfect time to just be like, and no, is when they try to do their little handoff. Yeah, you know Donald Trump. Yeah. Well, think about this. We actually do have choices. The primaries before the elections, when you choose the candidates, we have options. We could ask each candidate running for public office, do you plan to capitulate to Russia, to Israel, to the goddamn military industrial complex, to some Fortune 500 company? Are you trying to make a quick buck? Is that what this is about? Are you trying to enrich yourself? Is that what you see your time in office as an opportunity to enrich yourself? See, I would fuck some shit up. You put me in office on the first fucking day. On the first fucking day. I wouldn't even make it the weekend. The all white town is being proposed in freaking Missouri. Yeah, and here's the thing, name a single business that can be run by all white people. All white. That food gonna be bland as fuck. And what will happen is we'll get the American Socialist Party up and running. We'll start fundraising. We will try to support the candidates that we want in office nationwide. And my hope is that people see the American Socialist Party fundraising to support people who support the mission of the American Socialist Party. And remember, the mission of the American Socialist Party is to give to the people of the United States and the world a pro equality, pro union political party meant for the workers, the average Joe and Joanna, Jody, whatever, and is bent on getting universal health care, education, income, and housing. And has a plan where each state and the federal government should aim to declassify and fully legalize cannabis and should make it its cash crop and should use the taxes created to give everyone universal health care, education, income, and housing. It's a great fucking idea. Tell me I'm wrong. Do you see a better idea? Where are you going to get the money from to fund your socialism? Where is it going to come from? You can't keep saying we're going to take it away from the military industrial complex. Because defunding that shit is a project that you're going to have to do over time. I think the next like badass president gets in office and dissolves Tesla and SpaceX and XAI into the US government and says this is what happens when you're a traitor. Twitter becomes a public fucking utility and usable again. Same as fucking Facebook. Fuck Mark Zuckerberg too. Bob moved to Indiana. Somebody come be my neighbor. I need people to go to sporting events with. My wife doesn't want to go. Emil Bove, who looks tired. Yeah, we'll still have elections. I want to point out every time someone asks that question, Miss Dina, up until today, since November 5th, there have been a ton of elections, and Democrats have absolutely fucking thrashed. Like, they're winning at like an 80% clip. They're winning at a higher clip than they normally win. And so I would just ask you, take November 5th. We know that shit's fucked up. And I'd ask you, since November 6th, 2024, is there any evidence that the election system in the United States has any issues? I just want to make sure that I ask. No, nope, nope. Outside of November 5th, is there any evidence that you have that the election system in the United States is broken? Because if it is, yeah, I know. Democrats have won 80% of the elections since fucking election day. Wake the fuck up. That is evidentiary that Trump cheated. Is that I don't think the election system's fucking broken at all. I think it's working fucking appropriately. I think that the response to Donald Trump and this regime will be resounding, and it has been since November 5th. Democrats have just straight up kicked the Republican ass to the point where I have been sitting here every day saying, hey, this is the death of the Republican Party, to the point where the MAGA, they're going to get it kicked out of the Republican Party. And I'm sorry, but that's all the money. And all the money is going to leave the existing Republican Party. And where is all that money going to go? The American First Party, the fucking fascist party. And then you'll have the Democrats playing center field, not promising status quo, delivering to the middle, right? And so from my perspective, it's like fascist party, a weakened Republican Party, and a uniparty Democratic Party trying to rule the country with an iron fist. And I say that there are only 600 seats of government, and there are, and there's less than 600. And so we don't even need that many people that hear what I'm saying and they're like, what he's saying makes a lot of sense. I want to be an elected official in this area I live, that I've lived my whole life and built my whole life around. start at a low level government. And understand, all you got to do is not be a bigot. Don't be a bigot. Lead with empathy. Show up every day. Be consistent. And then spit this socialist shit. It's that easy. Oh, my heart goes out to all those children that have died in Gaza. I saw the Wall Street Journal story today where 18,500 children have died. And I'm awful proud of the media here in this specific example for naming all of the victims. You see how hard that is? That is not that hard to do. Nope, that's not that difficult to do. It's not difficult to say free Palestine or Slava Ukraine either. And I would be interjecting that if I were a journalist, that would be in my content. And you've noticed that it is in my content. And people have said that's partisan and political, and it's not. That's the fucking thing about it. The most apolitical people that I know are on the front lines fighting in Ukraine. The people that could give a shit whether you're Democrat or Republican, they aren't here for that. The people who that matters the least to. The Arkansas one has cops and feds living in it. Go figure. Some of those that work forces are the same that burn crosses. Uh. So yeah, I want to make sure that I say Donald Trump is such a selfish motherfucker that he rigged an election for himself and his MAGA friends. That's what happened, and hasn't give a fuck since. Look at their response. Look at how voters have voted since Donald Trump stole the 2024 US election. for him and his MAGA friends. I'd say it's working just fucking fine. And I think Donald Trump is such a selfish motherfucker that he ain't gonna rig some shit. And you have no clue who them candidates are. And here's the best part about all this. I don't give a fuck who they are, but I can't tell you a single fucking Republican candidate. That should tell you everything you need to know. All the Democrats got to do is find out who's running for these seats and start pumping them. Start getting them in a public eye. Baba Baba is running for Congress. Baba Baba is running for state rep. Baba Baba is running for Senate. And then what you can do is you can say, okay, there's no candidate in this race that isn't either a traitor or they're taking money from AI PAC. This race needs a third party candidate. And I hate the use of third party. They need a socialist candidate. Somebody like a Zohran Mamdani. Somebody that's accomplished and a good public speaker and can get in front of a camera and talk for hours and without making a complete ass of themselves. By the way, I want to say this to a bunch of people that don't give a shit. There's a new Magic the Gathering set that just came out, and it's called Edge of Eternities. And one of the problems with one of the archetypes, Control, in Magic, has always had is a good finisher. Like a good cards that can end a game. And they printed a card in this set called Quantum Riddler. Quantum Riddler. It's fucking awesome. I just wanted to say that on my show. Quantum Riddler. It's a 5 mana, 3 colorless, 2 blue flyer. It's a 4/6. When it enters, you draw a card. When you draw a card and you have 2 or less in hand, you draw 2 instead, which is insane. And then it has a warp ability. For 2 mana, you could put it into play, draw a card off it, and then exile it and play it later. It's like broken in half. Anyway, I just wanted to. And there's other cards that I want to buy. I just like card names. We don't have to talk about the other shit. Okay, the names of cards. So that's the really good, one of the really good creatures they made. And then they made another card that's really good. Consult the star charts. Consult the star charts. That's pretty cool. As a kid that grew up like obsessed with space and wanted to be an astronaut, and I love No Man's Sky. I I love Alien. You know what I mean? This set's totally for me. And it's got like angels. hmm But yeah, it has a black hole. So check this out. They printed a black hole card. It's called Sothera, the Super Void. Again, I know you don't give a shit about any of this, but I'm a Magic player. It's like in my DNA now. Consult the star charts. Quantum Riddler. It's such like I don't know. It's just Sothera, the Super Void. I don't know. But yeah, I think the thing about the news in the last 24 hours that I will remember the most is that Donald Trump, who most recently is saying like he's not in the Epstein files and it's a hoax and all that shit. Um, the problem, right? The problem with shit being a hoax is that you don't help your story. I hope everyone's following me. You don't help your story that the Epstein list is a hoax by publicly stating that one of the girls that is on the list was stolen from you, like their property, especially when that person offed themselves. I just wanted to throw that out there. Okay. Thanks, Ange. Quantum Riddler, nice ring to it. Yeah. And I watched one of my favorite Magic players this morning. He played I'm obsessed with Counterspell. If it's legal, you should probably be playing it. And he was playing like a cloud shift version of that, where what you could do is warp Quantum Riddler in for 2 mana and then cloud shift it, and then you just have a 4/6 that just drew you 2 cards, cost 2 cards. Not bad. And he was saying like, now you just play this legit. Like you just play this as your fifth, um, your your 5 mana play, basically. Because it you get its value back when it enters. You just draw as a card when you cast it. Yeah, I love the name Quantum Riddler. The reason that it's important to me is because a lot of uh, Magic: The Gathering is owned by Wizards of the Coast, which is owned by Mattel, which is owned by Hasbro, which is a Fortune 500 company. And so what you already know is that, oh, this means Magic: The Gathering is probably is ooh, Zeke with the fucking question of the day. Video game questions will derail the shit out of me. So put a pin in whatever the fuck we were talking about. Let's talk about No Man's Sky. The question is No Man's Sky a survival game? It depends on your starting world. So keep in mind when you start a new game of No Man's Sky, you are randomly shipwrecked on a random planet, and you are indeed in a survival scenario if that planet is toxic, or too hot, or too cold, or there's too many large fucking animals that eat things that look like you, or there's no gravity. It's a real fucking game. You could start out on a planet that has everything you need and you never need to leave. Is that a survival game? No, that's just a fucking living game. You know what I mean? But No Man's Sky, it becomes a a different kind of survival game. It becomes a survival game where you're a fucking astronaut and a space fighter and a miner and an explorer and a trader. Not the Russia trader. A trader. You trade stuff. TRADE with interdimensional beings, aliens, fucking humanoids. You learn languages. It's space exploration slash survival slash No Man's Sky is what I thought I was gonna do. I thought I was gonna planet hop and scan plants and animals and establish an outpost and figure out what their abundant resource is. Can it be used to sustain life? And if not, move the fuck on. I honestly thought when I was a little kid that that's what spaceships were going to be for. That by the time I'm a spaceman, they'll just ship me off to some planet and I'll help make sure. And the funny thing is, in Mass Effect, oddly enough, in Mass Effect, that's actually what you do. You go planet hopping and you're trying to figure out what the problem is when you get there that's making it unlivable, and you try to solve it. Usually that means there's a boss fight. And once you do that, it fixes the environment, makes it habitable. People can fucking breathe, and businesses open, and houses are built, and yada yada. So yeah, it's not as much shooty shooty bang bang. That's what I appreciate about No Man's Sky. Um, so yeah, it could be a survival game if you start off in a harsh enough environment, but if not, it becomes like an exploration game, a space exploration game, with survival. In my eyes, survival is based on the threat to your life, right? If you spawn in a new game of No Man's Sky and it's a perfect environment, is that a survival game? No. You don't have anything that's eating your oxygen and making it so you can't breathe, and it's not too hot, not too cold, and there's not too much or too little gravity, and there's not giant monsters trying to kill you, or there's sentinels. There's drones, by the way, fucking probing these planets, and if you mine too much near one of them, they'll attack you. So, yeah. But again, that's exploration and the consequences therein. You know what I mean? So to call it a survival game, I feel like that's loose, right? To even call it a game about space, that's loose. Most of your space travel is instant. You're not actually flying light years. Come on, dog. That's a fucking tractor beam. You know what I mean? You're just sitting on a rail. Flying near planets? Yeah, you do that. Space, air to air combat? Sure. C said living in America is a survival game now. That's what I was going to say. Being a human being on Earth living in the United States is a fucking survival game. It's like we live in 2012, the movie, in real life. I don't know if anybody has seen 2012 with Cusack in it. Zeke said, I'll get it because I'm more into survival thanks to Subnautica and Minecraft. I used to talk bad about Minecraft once I started playing. My creativity side needed stimulation. Now I like it. Yeah, I need to have a chill game. Yeah, I used to be a daily Call of Duty player, and don't worry, I just shut off the communication. I don't care what other people have to say on Call of Duty and just play the game. Um, and after a while, it's just not good for you mentally. Just the constant huzzah huzzah huzzah, like having that as like your the focal point of your entertainment. But yeah, I the environment is not conducive. You know, like I said yesterday, I saw there was a big heat wave. It was like over 100 degrees all over the country. I gotta go, by the way. We've been talking forever. Sorry. My wife is probably pissed. I gotta play a little Eat the Rich and get out of here. It's always these damn video games. Listen to a little bit of Eat the Rich. Wake up, kid. It's half past. You think nothing really changed but the date. You ran slammer, but you know, babe Ruth, you gotta learn how to relate. I've been swinging. All right, we'll get out of here. I got all the answers. Lo and behold, you got the right key, baby, but the wrong off. Oh, yo. Maybe that's why Melania won't sleep with him. One of the things I would want to tell someone if you're gonna buy No Man's Sky, don't be afraid to restart the game. One of the things that can happen, it's random, but The starting environment can have such a strongly negative characteristic that it's impossible to get off the rock. Just start the fucking game over. Just start over, and you'll know what I'm talking about. When your oxygen bar depletes instantly on a planet, that's unsurvivable. Just start over. Just close your eyes and be like, holy shit, that's the planet we fucking crashed on? Yes. Start the fuck over. When you get bored, by the way, when you get bored exploring in No Man's Sky, start playing the story. That's the best advice I can give you. Once you get tired of exploring,